Most people think they understand what is happening in Donald Trump's classified documents case, but that's because they're watching it through headlines, thumbnails, and viral quips that promise collapse, arrests, and instant justice. The real story is quieter than that, and honestly, that's what makes it more dangerous. Right now, in a federal courtroom in Florida, prosecutors are not shouting, they're not grandstanding, they're doing something far more effective. They're building a timeline, step by step, move by move, box by box, according to newly unsealed court documents. Special counsel Jack Smith believes Donald Trump did not simply keep classified materials by mistake after leaving office. The filings suggest something more deliberate, something intentional, something that, if proven, could legally change everything. At the center of it all are boxes, ordinary-looking boxes, cardboard storage containers. Nothing dramatic at first glance, but prosecutors argue these boxes contain some of the most sensitive government materials in the country, and more importantly, they argue those boxes didn't just sit still. They were moved, not randomly, not casually, but in ways that may have avoided security cameras inside Mar-a-Lago. That detail matters a lot, because in obstruction cases, prosecutors don't need to prove chaos. They need to prove purpose. They need to show that actions were taken not by accident, but to prevent someone else from seeing the truth. And when you start moving evidence where cameras can't see it, prosecutors pay very close attention. Now, let's slow this down for a moment, because this is where the internet tends to go off the rails. No court document says Trump has been convicted. No filing says his lawyers were arrested in the courtroom. No judge has declared the case over. Those viral stories are fiction layered on top of real legal tension. But dismissing everything as fake news would also be a mistake, because what is real is the pattern prosecutors are trying to establish. And they're asking a simple question: if these documents were harmless souvenirs, why all the effort to move them? Why the concern about visibility? Why the timing? Trump's legal team argues that as president, he had broad authority over classified material, and the disputes over storage are being exaggerated for political reasons. Prosecutors respond with something very specific. Presidential authority ends when the presidency ends, and classified material does not become personal property just because someone once held power. That's the legal fault line this case sits on. At the same time, another development is adding pressure behind the scenes. A federal judge has temporarily blocked the release of special counsel Jack Smith's final report. This report covers two major investigations, one involving efforts to overturn the 2020 election, and another involving classified documents. The report exists. It's written, but whether the public will see it is still undecided. Trump's former co-defendants are fighting to keep it sealed, arguing that releasing it could unfairly shape public opinion or influence future legal proceedings. The Department of Justice says it intends to finalize the report. What happens next is up to the courts, and this uncertainty is where speculation explodes. Online, people fill in the blanks with certainty. This proves guilt. This guarantees prison. This is the end, but the legal system doesn't work like that. What it does instead is grind forward slowly, testing each claim, each piece of evidence, each witness. That process isn't inciting, but it's relentless. There's also been a lot of noise around, so so-called Epstein-related documents. As of now, there is no verified court record showing Trump's lawyers fabricated seals or confessed to crimes connected to those materials in this case. Courts rely on sworn testimony and filings, not viral certainty. That distinction is critical, especially for anyone trying to separate analysis from fantasy. Here's what can be responsibly said. Prosecutors appear to believe they can demonstrate intent, not just possession, but concealment, not just confusion, but action taken to avoid detection. Intent is the hardest thing to prove in any criminal case, and when prosecutors focus on camera angles, movement patterns, and timing, it's because they believe those details tell a story words alone cannot. The judge overseeing the case has not yet ruled on several major motions. Those rulings will decide whether certain evidence is allowed, whether defenses based on presidential authority hold weight, and whether the case ultimately reaches a jury. Until then, nothing is automatic. Politically, the pressure is obvious. Trump is facing multiple cases across different jurisdictions, each moving on its own clock. None of them guarantee outcomes, All of them drain time, money, and attention. And that may be the part that messes most, because even without dramatic courtroom scenes, the accumulation of legal risk has consequences. Campaigns have to adjust, messaging shifts, allies get quieter, donors hesitate. The weight adds up. This is why the slow version of the story matters more than the viral one. Real accountability doesn't arrive in a single explosive moment. It shows up in unsealed documents, in cautious language, in phrases like alleged, according to filings, and subject to review. That may sound boring, but it's how history actually changes. So when you see clips promising guaranteed outcomes, instant arrests, or final endings, ask yourself this: if it were really that simple, would prosecutors still be filing motions? Would judges still be weighing arguments? Would timelines still be unfolding? Probably not. The truth is, this case is still being written, not by YouTubers, not by Twitter threads, but by court filings, judicial decisions, and evidence that has to survive scrutiny. And whatever the final outcome turns out to be, it won't come from a thumbnail. It will come from a process that doesn't care about drama, but absolutely cares about proof. That's the real tension here. Not collapse, not certainty, but the slow, uncomfortable moment where power meets a system designed to question it. And that story isn't over yet.